Hello guys, Kama here, and here we have my first ever shmup commentary video. But first of all, I would like to inform you that this is not a 1cc guide for Crimzon Clover. This is just more of me celebrating the fact that I'm done playing Crimzon Clover's novice modes. So I've had Crimzon Clover on the Nintendo Switch since April of 2022, and I recently bought the Steam version about 2 weeks before making this video. And naturally, I felt the pressure to do the 1cc's of the novice modes on the Steam version as well. I started getting into shmups on February of 2022, and I've gotten myself to the point where getting a 1cc on novice or easy modes doesn't take too long. So currently at this point, I am a bit more interested trying to clear shmups on the default arcade difficulty. And luckily enough, my last two runs with the Type C ships got me my highest score so far on both Novice Boost and Novice Original modes across all ship types on both Nintendo Switch and Steam. As you can see here, I'm still playing around with the lock-on lasers because I'm still far away from learning how to do proper chaining and scoring on this game. I have some clues on where to brake though, so I have prepared a double brake for this upcoming section with the medium ships and Zappo Rush. It's ironic that I really like this game so much now because at first I was really turned off by all the visuals and the effects and the medals. So yeah, I chose to try and make the commentary on this Novice Original run because of the high score, plus the Novice Boost mode clear with the Type Z. It kinda went all crazy near the end and it looked like a lousy scrub clear. Here I am trying to build up the brake meter again so I can do a double brake on the boss. So far that has been my pattern as well on Arcade Original, but that game mode is still way too impossible for me right now. So this one is very simple. Just double brake as soon as the fight starts and you should be able to kill it quick enough. Obviously, we're going to get the extend, and that's it for stage 1. So we're starting at stage 2, and you might be wondering what I'm using for my controls. In the first month of me playing shmups, I was actually using an arcade stick, the Hori Fighting Stick Mini. But because I have big hands, it became uncomfortable for me, so I moved on with a gamepad. And what I had at home back then was a PS4 controller. I was still able to get my first few shmup 1cc's with the arcade stick though, like Strikers 1945 on Monkey mode, Escatos on Original Easy mode, and Mushihime-sama on Novice Original mode. And then I kept on using the PS4 controller for like 9 months until the D-pad started having problems. So after that, I tried a different controller, and the one I'm currently using now is the 8-bit Do Pro 2 Bluetooth controller. So far, it's been performing well, but I think gamepads will always kind of have that tiny bit of inconsistency with diagonal inputs. But so far, I haven't had any problems with the current games that I'm playing. Coming up to the stage 2 mid-boss, I have a feeling that I could have used brake mode for this, but I really wanted to save up the brake gauge for double brake on the train section after this. So I decided to just keep dodging. I mean, the patterns aren't really that dense anyway. And after killing the mid-boss, I'm going to get the stars, which will give me an extend. I just have to be careful not to hit any of the incoming enemies. I started to go on the double break now so that I will still be able to refill the gauge before the stage 2 boss fight. But I think I would have gotten more points if I did the double break here, especially on this big red enemy that usually gives me trouble on stage 4. I gotta admit that I was recently tempted to try playing shmups on a keyboard, but it's just such a huge struggle trying to get my right hand used to the arrow keys. And as tempting as it is to try and go back to arcade sticks, it's just not comfortable for me, especially on games like Crimzon Clover where you have a lock-on system. It's just way more comfortable for me to hold down a face button for my regular shot and then using R1 for the lock-on shot, especially when I'm spamming the lock-on shot like this on a boss. So right now I have the double break ready and I'm just waiting for the boss to do its attack where it jumps down and there will be a shower of bullets all over the place. There we go. This is also the same spot where I do a break on Arcade Original, so it kinda helps with consistency in some way. The boss is almost dead and then now I realize that I could have done the double break earlier, just so I could get more points in. Of course, I'm going to go for the extend again, so it's going to help with the score at the end of the run. So I'm at that point where I'm sure I can get a Novice 1cc, and it's more of a matter learning how to get better scores. But I personally prefer to just focus on getting proficient at a default arcade difficulty before even bothering to start learning proper scoring. Okay, so third stage, and this is where I just try to be more aggressive so I don't get myself walled. So sometimes I would just try to stick on a normal shot so I get to kill more popcorn enemies so they can shoot at me. But it is fun trying to get the big multipliers with the lock-on shot, so sometimes I do that if I'm just playing Novice mode. This is a good spot to do a double break because killing 8 of these medium-sized ships will give you the insect hunting achievement on Steam. Plus there's this bigger enemy that shows up where you can get more score. But on Arcade Original, I don't use the break until this spot since the patterns from this enemy gets harder to dodge. Now, since this is my first time doing a gameplay commentary, I'd really love for you guys to let me know what you think about this video. Just put your comments down below, maybe some suggestions on what content you might want to see in the future. I think now is the perfect time for me to start doing these commentary videos just so I can have a better way of documenting my shmup progress. Plus, it does bug me a bit when I think about the fact I'm just uploading gameplay videos, you know, there's nothing much special about them. So coming on to the mid-boss, this is where I get in trouble on arcade mode where it shoots the laser and the round bullets are gonna rain down on you. So here it's easier and I'm going to do a double break to kill it quick. And then we get the extend from the stars. Now there's going to be a bit of a Zocco rush and I'll get the star while watching out for any bullets. It's those sneaky ones that usually get me on Novice modes when I'm being careless. Again, I'm preparing a double break gauge that I can use once this section is over. I find it quite impressive that the effects in this game don't really hinder the visibility of bullets. I mean, my shots are purple but I can still see the enemy shots. At first I had problems with seeing bullets but it was like less than a handful of cases. So I really have nothing to say against this game in terms of visibility. So it's this part where the popcorn enemies can really get a sneaky hit in and I was advised by veteran players to use bombs in this section. The bullet cancel from this big flower helps a lot, and this snake section gets very spicy with more bullets flying around on arcade mode. So for novice mode, just keep hitting the heads and it should be easy. Again, I'm preparing even just a simple break to make the next section easier. On arcade mode, this part would really be very spicy. So I think one of the disadvantages of novice mode is that it never taught me to bomb. Most patterns were easy enough to dodge so that if I do get cornered, I have enough gauge for the break all the time. It wasn't until I started watching other players playing harder difficulties that I actually saw people using the plain bomb. And another break before the boss while watching out for sneaky bullets from the right. Now, this boss is where I usually lose a life. Before it enters its final phase, it's going to be doing this windmill attack with the spinning lasers, and that kind of pattern always gets me regardless of difficulty. And it even happens to me in other games like Gun Vein. So what I do is just spam the laser when it's safe, but when I'm dodging I just do the full lock on so I don't move around too much and risk getting hit. I haven't played Arcade Original enough to see if damaging the boss as quick as this is possible, but I wish it would be because I really hate the windmill pattern it does. So that windmill pattern is about to start soon, and I'm lucky I was able to cancel that. Sometimes I would use break mode on that pattern, and then it gets wasted during the transition to the final phase of the boss. And as I tried to do a double break, I ended up using a bomb instead, and I wasted the break. And I was hoping to get some more points, and I blew it big time. But so far, we're getting another extend, and there are no deaths so far on this run. Again, if you like this kind of content from me and you would want to see more, let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you watch on Twitch, I also stream there occasionally on weekends. I have yet to develop the habit because I just find myself too tired to stream on weekdays, so most of my streams only happen during weekends. So I think I could be doing this YouTube thing on weekdays since I just have to do commentaries. And there's really not a lot of videos that I want to make a commentary on, so it's going to be just like a small side project. It's right around this part that I need to learn when to break, because sometimes what happens is that I break too late and there will be another transition where the break gets wasted. See, there was a bit of waste, but it was not too bad. I'm really glad that my last two runs with the Type Z on novice modes had broken my high scores with the other ships, since it's like some sort of proof that I've improved on shmups in general. So for Arcade Original, I probably just need to put in more time and not get stingy with bombs. But the problem is that I still get tempted to play other shmups on a regular basis. So one day I could be playing Crimzon Clover, and then the next time I'm playing some other classic shmup, or maybe some other bullet hell. And that's what kinda hinders my progress. But I really wouldn't want to force myself to play a game if I'm not in the mood to play it. Some of the Danmaku games I've played lately are Bluish Resurrection Plus, Bluish Desire, and even a bit of Mushihime-sama 1.5. I actually got to the stage 5 boss, but for some weird reason, I didn't keep pushing it and I just decided to play some other shmups today after that. And there are also shmups on main that I play. Espeludo 1 is one of my favorites and I think it's one of the more possible candidates for my first Cave 1 CC. So this mid boss, I remember struggling a lot with this when I first got into Crimzon Clover, although I would say that Crimzon Clover is a very good beginner shmup. When I got my first 1cc on Crimzon Clover, the only other bullet hell games I've played are Mushihime-sama and Bluish Resurrection Plus. And my hardest clear so far back then was Mushihime-sama on Novice Maniac. So for this section, I'm going to stay at the bottom after getting the star because this is another section that I hate, at least with the Type 3 ship. Because the Type 3 has its options located at the front, you can get hit by this Zaku Rush from the sides. But if you're using the other ships, you can position yourself in between your options so you don't get hit. And there goes the first death of the run. It was fired from very low when I was moving towards the same direction, and I just didn't have enough time to react to it. So I had to pull myself together, keep my momentum, and try not to die on this section because these red ships have a very dense pattern. I mean, I know where the gaps will be, but it can get tricky with both of them on the screen, so you have to make sure to get those bullet cancels fast. So we have one miss so far, and it's on to the stage 4 boss with a full double break gauge. Here, I just try to stay between the middle stream and the sides, and eventually those red bullets on the sides will start crisscrossing. One thing I learned is that if you stick towards one side, it prevents the boss from firing those crisscrossing patterns at full length. But at this point, it doesn't matter much because I was able to damage it fast enough to force it into the next pattern. And because of double break, this will be over soon and I just need to inch my way through these small bullets. So there we go, and the boss didn't even get to fire the big lasers. Plus we're getting another extent from killing the boss. That kinda makes up for the one miss I had earlier. Okay, so stage 5, and again, since it's novice mode, there wouldn't be a huge amount of bullets. I haven't played this stage in Arcade Original, but I have been playing Arrange mode lately as well, so I do know that this area can get really spicy on Arcade difficulty. And I think the key here is to anticipate those lasers, and then focus on the big tanks for the bullet cancels. If you anticipate when the lasers will fire at you, then you can anticipate where you're going to move so that you can watch out for any bullets in that area. Obviously, I'm going to use the double break here for some big points. Now that I think about it, I've been done with Novice mode for months ago. I think it was a few months ago when I already got my first Arrange boost clear. So it's only because I bought the Steam version of this game that I tried to revisit Novice mode again and redo all the 1cc's. But the nice thing about that is that I got to beat most of my scores, even if my newer scores aren't that competitive. So I'm going for another break for these enemy planes before we take a breather for the next section. Based on my experience in arrange mode, this part would have a huge number of bullets on high rank, so you do have to do the bullet herding and cutting back. But for novice mode, it's just about watching out for stray bullets and focusing on bigger enemies that will show up. Of course, this looks easy to me now, but back then this part used to be quite hectic. But the nice thing about Danmaku games in general is that some of your experience in dodging and strategy are usually applicable in other Danmaku games. I think the break timer just ended right before I could start the double break, so I ended up bombing instead. One last enemy before the mid boss, and it turns out I've already acquired the last extent from the stars a little while ago. So for the mid boss, the gaps are wide enough that I can spam the lock on lasers while dodging, and then I can stay on the side if I don't want to micrododge the bullets coming from the front. For this enemy, I'm going to use the double break, and I'm not sure if that was the best idea since it's behind me. I think it might have been better if I had used the double break on the mid boss instead. So this is going to take me quite some time to kill. I've done other runs where I've killed two of these, so I must have been doing something wrong. Now we're into the final section of stage 5 and I'm preparing a double break for the laser wheels. So here goes the first break. And I was really being risky by going to this area, but I managed to get the cancel. And then I go for the double break, hoping I could destroy the second laser wheel before it fires. One laser wheel left and I still have enough time to refill the gauge for another break. So I think what I could have done better here is that I should have gone for the laser wheel right away like I did with the second one, but instead I waited for a possible double break which gave it enough time to fire. And since I didn't want to risk getting hit, I decided to just bomb for safety and get it over with. So just a few more enemies and we're off to the stage 5 boss. If you've been watching all along, thank you so much. And for the third time, if you guys like this kind of content from me or if you have any other suggestions, feel free to post your comments below. For the first pattern is just about misdirecting the spread of enemy bullets. I sometimes find it a bit awkward on a D-pad since the diagonal inputs are less accurate, but it's manageable on novice mode because the spreads are not as wide. For the next pattern, just stay in the middle until the streams on the side stop and then move to the side. I sometimes spam the lock-on shots here too. So now I'm going to double break to kill the boss faster, and this is where I get reckless to the point of getting hit. I stayed up high so I could spam the lock-on shots and I couldn't get away in time. So 2 miss and I just stayed at the bottom for the rest of the boss fight. It's time for the TLB and I'll start off with spamming the lock-on shot. And then this one is just simple dodging. If you play enough, you'll get used to it and have no problems. For this next phase, I decided to just break and spam for lock-on shots. And then I went for the double break just because I hate this next pattern a lot. As the final form starts, double break is still ongoing, so I was still able to deal a bit of extra damage and also get a cancel at the end. Again, more basic dodging while watching out for the long streams. And then I like this one, it's like you're dancing with the boss. And you're just gonna make sure you've got enough space to run to and not get cornered. So the boss decides to start the final pattern, and again it's just dodging at this point. And then I do one final break just to make things faster. And there we go, 1cc for Novice Original. It's been my best run so far in terms of performance and score, so I'm really happy that I'm ending my Novice mode stint with this result. After doing this run, I also broke my high score on Novice Boost, but that was a pretty sloppy run, so I probably wouldn't be uploading it. And that is it for this video. This has been Kama and thank you for watching. See you next time.